sure he can get everything off, and slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although in this case, it's fast and steady.
That's the idea, yeah. So
looks like they're off.
Yeah, we're about off. So yeah, as we said, this is Sonic Adventure 2. Welcome to the game if you haven't seen it before. If you have seen it already, then you're going to know what to expect from these races. If not, then this is a pretty good speed game, I'd say. What do you think?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Got a lot of cool stuff in it. It's very hard, but that makes it all the more satisfying to do well.
Mm-hmm. In the first minute of the game, we actually have an opportunity for a major skip, which could potentially save the runners in the region of 30 seconds, albeit it's extremely difficult and borderline random. I'm expecting both players to maybe give it one attempt, but I really doubt that they'll sit and grind for it if they go for it at all. So let's see what happens here. Igloo's coming up to it first.
I know Ford definitely in the past had grinded his consistency on this trick up to above what most normal level runners have. Yeah. So we'll see if he gets it here.
His speed?
Ooh, okay, no.
Nah, his setup was a little suspect iffy there. His speed was not exactly correct, and his spin dash charge unfortunately landed him pretty much right on the speed pads, which is the one spot that you really don't want to end up there. So we are seeing a skipless city escape from both of our competitors. They're no more than like a few seconds apart from each other. Like they're within 10 seconds of each other here easily. So this is definitely, to this point, anyone's race. Igloo is struggling to get around this skyscraper loop though, which they both are actually. This is a thing that happens. Yeah.
Ford takes it safe here and decides to get the spin dash on the building instead of beforehand.
So that's really even things up between the players. Wow.
Oh, exact same thing happening. Are we watching the same stream?
This is, yeah, apparently these streams are duplicated right now or something. This is good, yeah, this is a good start to the race. And I will be very surprised if both of their truck sections are identical as well. This is a section of the stage which has a lot of potential time variance, since you just want to maintain spin dashes down these hills. And the only time you want to come out the spin dashes is, you just saw on Igloo's screen and now on Ford's screen, if you go over these hills with too much speed, you'll actually just fly into the air. So while both runners want to maintain their spin dashes as much as possible while going downhill, they do want to unroll over the crests of these hills to try and make sure they stick to the ground. Yes! But they do both get out of City Escape within a few seconds of each other. Indeed.
Looks like we've got some customized jams on Ford's side all around.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Persona 5 victory. Let's go. We're coming up on Bigfoot.
This game of tag is boring.
Draco definitely knows this box very well, but the gist of it is they're going to be hopping onto the front box, and they're just going to be bopping him on the head a few times until he dies. Oh, actually, I take that back. Looks like notanigloo is going for back box strats.
Yeah.
Definitely safer. Oh, both of them are. All right, I was wrong. I apologize.
The front box is faster, but as Pino was implying, it is just quite a bit riskier, as the camera cooperates quite a bit less around the front boxes, and the collision is like really iffy on them. But the idea is just that you want to try and get 4 hits on the cockpit. The back box hits are a bit slower because of the extra travel time, and if you don't get first frame hits on that boss, he does recoil further back, but it's really just pocket change. And if that's the way that the runners feel comfortable with getting a quick fight, then in a race it's definitely a wise option. So both runners getting really good first pieces. And Ford just waiting to see what his second piece is. The objective of these knuckle stages is that there are 3 pieces of the Master Emerald hidden in each stage, and they are randomly generated, and the runners just need to use both their eyes and the help of these hints that are scattered throughout the stage to help them find where the hints are. Where the pieces are, sorry.
Looks like they're both finishing with rather similar times. That's
very similar.
Just a second faster on Ford's screen. Also, the astute viewer may notice that Ford's game is a little bit squished. That's because he's a bully and plays in 1610.
Yeah, that's right.
So we just don't have a layout for that, so we apologize.
Shoutouts to irregular aspect ratios.
We got Eggman. You want to explain Eggman?
Well, what there is to explain of the boss, yeah, this boss is pretty much just face forward and keep shooting him. He does very little to fight back, and it introduces you to how to play Tails. It says a lot about how simple this boss is that they chose to give the player their first Tails gameplay with a boss fight, because it is just that simple.
Mm-hmm. We got Prison Lane, Tails' first action stage. You're going to be seeing them hopping around all these corners. The reason for this is that when you make a sharp turn with Tails, you lose all your speed. And to avoid that, we just hop instead.
That's right, yeah. Because Tails' mech, like, it has decent speed of its own, but its acceleration is awful, and if you try and corner too sharply on the ground, then you will find yourself losing all that speed. You can get a little bit more cornering mileage by letting the camera do the work for you in certain spots, but by and large, you'll just see our runners jumping around corners to hopefully maintain their momentum, as Pina said. Ford's going for a gate hop here, very nicely done.
Yes.
It follows the theme of Prison Lane, which is that there are a lot of gates and doors locked throughout the stage, and in order to unlock them, you just need to destroy groups of enemies that are guarding the gates. So there are certain spots, such as on Igloo's screen, you may have just seen that he actually targeted an enemy through a wall to get a gate open early, and there's a few spots in the stage where you can exploit that.
Yep. Just how Tails' laser works. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, the laser doesn't really care about line of sight so much as it just cares about where your position is relative to the enemies, and the position is different for each enemy, so there are some really obvious lock-on spots, and there are then some very obnoxious lock-on spots.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of which we'll be seeing right here. Did you get it?
Looks like you got it. Yep. Yeah. That's quite a difficult early lock to get.
Looks like both runners got no. Oh.
Yeah. However, they both do get some early enemies through the walls here. Ford unfortunately misses one, and that's exactly what I mean about needing to get all the enemies down for specific gates to unlock. But he's still in decent shape. They're both in relatively decent shape, and both once again finishing with very similar level times. This is a really closely contested race so far.
Oh my god.
Like, the widest time variance I think there's been in the stage has been City Escape, which was like 4 seconds. That's the widest variance there's been.
Yeah.
Metal Harbor could easily change that, as this is quite a demanding Sonic stage. They're going to get their first Sonic upgrade, the Light Shoes, which will allow them to light dash across trails of rings, but as you can see, most of the stage is above water, and that water will just flat out kill you if you land in it.
Yep.
And it does comprise about 90% of the stage's surface area.
Yeah.
So they're both getting the Light Shoes. Both, once again, on similar-ish pace. For taking the right-hand path on the speed pads, which is very, very slightly faster, as the different speed pads in this game actually do have slightly different speed values attached to them, which isn't immediately obvious. The spot that Igloo was in just there, where he skipped a loop and then had some speed pads after, that's a very obvious spot if you're paying attention, since if you hit the left speed pad there, it actually launches you very high in the air because it gives you way too much speed. It's one of the few spots in the run where you actually can go a lot faster than you want to be going.
Missile launch in 15 seconds.
Okay. Oh no!
Yeah, collision. Ford tried to clutch out that rocket platform skip. He's still struggling, oh man. Yeah, the camera really can make this trick a little more difficult than it should be. Basically, what the runners are just trying to do is stand on this sloped surface at the base of the rocket platform and then do what we call a spin dash jump off it, which is simply performed by charging a spin dash and then jumping with the momentum. Because the game's physics engine is actually pretty finely tuned in this game and really cares about both your momentum and your angle. So you can get some very, very high slope jumps like that.
Yep.
So Ford, unfortunately, taking the first death of the run, and that does widen the gap between our racers a little bit. He needs to now... Damn. Yeah, that is a very easy spot to take a death on if, again, the camera's not particularly cooperative there, and that loop has definitely certain things that can just go wrong there. So Ford is really getting the question put to him by his Metal Harbor here about
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just
Just
a demanding
if he-
stage.
If he can do it, all right.
Igloo,
Like-
meanwhile, is on his Shadow 1, and this is a fairly simple fight when you exploit some not immediately obvious mechanics. You can use what we call storage to just run into Shadow and still inflict damage, since the game basically thinks that you're somersaulting. And if not, then you can just stand behind him and get a couple of homing attack hits, which I believe is what he did as well. So he comes out with a 13-second time, which is not too shabby for the Shadow fight.
Definitely.
Ford's going to be getting his own Shadow fight in a bit.
Yeah. We might be seeing an upset here.
It's
Looks
possible,
like,
but there is
not-
a lot of the race to go still, and the problems
Right.
that Ford was having in Metal Harbor, there are a lot of spots in every stage where either runner could get similar problems. So it's definitely too early to count Ford out of the running so far.
Yeah.
Igloo does have a sizable lead entering Green Forest though, so it's going to be interesting to see how well he can maintain that lead.
Yep. And something about Green Forest is that it's very, very easy to fly off of every single little just lump in this level.
Yep.
Due to just vertexes being huge bullies, like right there you saw not an igloo flying into the sky. You really have to manage your speed and spin dashes incredibly precisely if you don't want to fly off at any point in time.
Mm-hmm. He's choosing
It's a
not
bit-
to take the first loop skip here, which is perhaps advisable if you're not particularly confident in that skip, as it is considerably more difficult than it looks.
Mm-hmm.
So Ford is, it's looking like, if we just compare the in-game timers, that Ford is going to be about 1 minute and 5 seconds behind, maybe about 1 minute and 10. So it is a fairly wide gap to clear, but as I mentioned, a lot can happen in runs of this game. So it's very possible that Ford could either get really good RNG, or Igloo could run into some execution problems of his own. All we can really do is sit back and wait.
Looks like Igloo not yet knowing about the newest fast way to climb that tree. A lot of people will either just climb the tree like you saw Igloo do there, or they'll do something known as Green Forest Wall Run. And recently, oh no, another death on Ford's side. That's gonna hurt him.
It's not too bad a death though, thanks to where his checkpoint was. So
But yeah, recently. So normally as you go up that tree, you'll have storage, which when you land, you'll do a somersault. We can actually use this to climb up the tree a little bit faster. If at the platform where you homing attack the beetle and then homing attack up, we instead somersault jump onto the platform and then homing attack the spring directly. It saves a little bit of time.
the mechanics in this game being what they are, though, you really want to take that section as safely as possible, because it's very easy to just miss a homing attack from doing it too early.
Yeah.
As the homing attack will try very hard to not go upwards if it can help it.
Yep.
So Igloo is getting into Pumpkin Hill, where he gets Knuckles' first upgrade, the Shovel Claws, which allows you to dig underground. And now he's gone towards his first piece, which is a fairly nice first piece at the top of Church Mountain. He's probably going to get a piece too at, Pumpkin Mountain. This is what I thought he'd get. And there is a very convenient rocket taking you all the way over there, so depending on his third piece, this could be a really quick finishing time. It could also still not be a great finishing time. Again, it really depends what his third piece is. And yeah,
I was gonna say.
Unfortunately, that's probably the worst piece that he could have gotten from there.
Yeah.
All the way across the stage.
Still, 44.
Yeah,
with
the
the hill.
44 is still perfectly acceptable time. I'd say it's a pretty average Pumpkin Hill time.
Mm-hmm.
Ford has finished his own Green Forest, meanwhile, with a 1:44. So, again, nice symmetry between the players. And so, Ford could potentially make up some time in Pumpkin Hill if the RNG is particularly nice to him, but at the same time, he could also lose more time if the RNG decides to not be friendly. So, we'll really just have to see. And Igloo, meanwhile, is just entering his mission street, where Knuckles just picked up his first upgrade. Tails is also going to pick up his upgrade, the booster, which will allow the players to start hover jumping, and that's going to be used immediately once Igloo collects it to try and go for what we call the zero cycle weight hop. There's a weight that drops immediately after getting this upgrade, And with a very precise hover jump, which we typically pause buffer to try and get two A inputs close together, you can get on top of this weight as it's rising. He tried for it, but unfortunately he didn't get it. And you can see how long it takes for this weight to come down and how much time it saves to get that.
Ooh,
Ford,
nice
meanwhile, has got some really nice pieces, yeah.
Nice.
Ghost Train to Pumpkin to Suffering from a Stuffed Nose. I would be very happy with that in a run. He's a little too high for that piece, unfortunately. Down, Ford. Down.
Forward.
It's
Forward.
lower, dude.
Maybe.
There you go.
Sometimes when you're on vertexes, your movement can get stuck, and I wonder if that's what happened there.
Possibly, yeah, that was unusual. So Ford, unfortunately, his RNG was better, but then because of that, I can only assume Pino was right about that. Unfortunately, that did bleed a little bit of time for Ford, and he ended up coming out with a similar time to what Igloo got, despite the RNG being considerably better.
Yeah. You can see Igloo here coming up on one of the more dangerous parts of the stage. Oh my god!
That's exactly why I do not advocate for landing on that speed pad like that.
Oh my god.
There are wrong ways and right ways to approach certain elements of this game. So he's at the cycle spot. This spot in the stage is what this stage revolves around. There are these cycles that move up and down, and you really just want to meet the fastest cycle that you can at this point. Igloo, I think he's on a second cycle pace.
Yep.
So Ford has gotten the 0 cycle weight hop, so he stands to save up to 20 seconds here if he goes on to like complete the rest of 0 cycle. He has made it up the first set of platforms, so he's going to come out with like a 47 or 48 check. That's a 48, all right. So from here, he just needs to move very well throughout the rest of the stage and really lose as little time as possible if he wants to make the 0 cycle.
Looks like Busty's probably going to be getting after that. That's a pretty decent mistake. 0 cycle basically just requires near perfect play from that point onward.
Basically, yeah. And Tails, I would argue, is probably the most difficult of the 3 characters to have good fundamental movement with. Oh, wow.
No! Another death. Looks like
I have never really seen an enemy hit that. Seen a player hit that enemy like that.
Yeah, I mean, same here. Looks like Ford's going to be taking a hit. I do believe the cycles are a little bit thrown off now.
Yeah, the cycles are different after a restart, so it's not really clear what Ford's going to end up with at this point. Igloo, meanwhile, is in Aquatic Mine, and there are a few free pieces that you can check for in the cutscene, and he has gotten one, and he's choosing to get it before going up for Switch 3 to lower the water level, which is an uncommon choice, but, you know, it's fine. Ford, meanwhile, is taking the front end of this cycle. This is what we would call a half cycle, since normally you want to aim for the back cylinder that you saw Igloo take, but if that is in a specific part of its movement cycle, then it is actually faster to take the front end, which is what Ford's just done here.
Looks like some rather rough RNG on Igloo's side here.
Yeah, he's gone to the ghost room for his last piece, and it's possible to clip into the ghost room. It's possible that we'll see Ford do that, especially because you can clip in multiple ways in Aquatic Mine.
You know, I just realized we're calling him Igloo, but he's literally just not an igloo. Like, I think we're kind of being a bit rude, don't you think?
I think it's fine. It'll do.
It'll do.
So Ford coming out with a 219 on Mission Street. Notwithstanding the death that he took, a 219 basically corresponds to getting first cycle. So Igloo is entering Route 101, which is the only driving stage in the run. There's honestly like not too much to talk about in this stage. It's very long and the driving mechanics are relatively simplistic. The only thing to note is that you want to be drifting as much as possible throughout the stage, as it helps you maintain the boosting speed cap. You have the driving speed and the boosting speed, and as long as you're drifting, you can actually maintain the boost speed for pretty much the duration of the stage. Ford has a really nice piece 1. He has a free piece as well, damn.
Ooh.
So he has a really good piece 1 and a free piece, and he's got a very good piece 2 as well. This is phenomenal RNG for Ford's Aquatic Mine.
Jeez Louise.
That will really help him claw back some of the time difference.
Definitely. Looks like a little bit of a few bumps on notanigloo's side. He's definitely having a little bit of trouble around that corner. Some of the corners can be pretty tight and pretty hard to not hit. There's like one or two specifically that we try to hit the wall just to slow us down, but it's very uncommon. And often you don't want to hit walls just because it'll slow you down.
Mm-hmm. So Route 101 also serves as a nice halfway point of the run to compare where the two runners are at, because being that this is one of the longest stages in the game, they'll typically be in this stage at the same time, and we can compare timers to see how far apart they are. So it's looking like it's about a minute and 15 difference between the two runners right now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So Ford definitely still has an uphill battle if he wants to regain the lead, but we are entering what I would call the hardest set of stages in the game for each character. We've got Tails' Hidden Base, Sonic's Pyramid Cave, and Knuckles' Death Chamber, and these stages are all very challenging in their own ways, and Ford is the more experienced runner of the two, so...
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Igloo has been doing pretty well so far to maintain this lead, though, it must be said. Because, like, as I've been saying, if Ford is the stronger of the two players, then it stands to reason that Igloo is probably the weaker of the two players. So to maintain this sort of lead is very good play so far.
Mm-hmm.
Igloo coming out with a 2:21 in Route 101. Ford can stand to save a few seconds on that if his lap 3 is good. It really just depends how he manages to close out this lap 3, as there are quite a few obstacles in this section, and the worst thing that can really happen in this stage, outside of taking a death, is that you lose a little bit of your speed on the final straight, and you don't have a boost to get it back, because at that point there is no way to accelerate from that point. Igloo has made his first mistake of the run, unfortunately. He is taking what is an early death in Hidden Base, so it is one of the least costly deaths possible in the stage, which is a bit of a silver lining to that. But yeah, Hidden Base, as I mentioned, this is a very difficult stage, and it's very easy to make mistakes in this stage. There's a lot of demanding hover jumps to do in this stage, and there's generally just a lot of areas where if you land in the sand, then it's just an immediate death, and there's no way you can get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he does have enough height for this hover jump, thankfully, and there's another slightly demanding hover jump coming up here, so as long as his movement is good, then that's more than enough to get by. It's close, though. Alright, he's good. And Ford coming out with a 2:22 for Route 101. So, again, not much time variance between the two runners on that particular stage.
Yep.
So this is definitely Ford's opportunity to try and pull back a little bit of time. If he gets a clean, deathless stage and doesn't make many major mistakes, there's a slight mistake there with missing landing on the door there, but it's not major, and he's not going for a hover jump here to cut off this corner. But this is basically all his stage to try and save time on relative to Igloo's stage.
Yep.
Igloo's having a pretty nice end of stage, though, where there are some hover jumps to do here to get out of bounds, and it's looking pretty smooth for this section.
Indeed.
Looks like he's going to come up with, I think this looks like a 203. Oh, it's a 202, I'm bad. It's even better than I thought. Nice.
Good stuff. Looks like Ford having a pretty decently smooth opening here. Taking a little bit safe there.
Yeah, Ford is coming up on the halfway point of the stage with what we like to call the maze skip. Trying to get on this platform, so the spring helps him out there, and with a precise hover jump here. Oh, he's not even going for it, he's just gone for the vases in the corner. That's a perfectly fine way to get over there as well, it's just a little bit slower. Igloo, meanwhile, has started Pyramid Cave, so a lot of runners pretty much universally agree that this is the most difficult stage of the game to do quickly and consistently. Like, there's stages at the end of the run with major tricks and skips, but just as far as the stages themselves go, this stage is a toughie.
Indeed. You've got just a ton going on at every single turn, you know, of this stage. Just there to just kind of mess you up, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Igloo getting his bounce bracelet upgrade though, and this will allow him to, you've already seen, and you'll be seeing again here, Sonic can now perform the super bounce, which is simply done by approaching a wall with a lot of speed, typically with a spin dash, and then as long as you bounce before you hit that wall, it will just convert all of your forward speed into upward speed. So you can get some really insane heights. Sonic's all about going quickly in one direction, so then if you make him go quickly upwards, you're going to get over a lot of invisible walls.
yep. You're definitely going to be seeing that quite a bit throughout the run.
Igloo looks like he is going for... Okay, I was thinking he's going for Snake Skip, but he's also going for it without having picked up the checkpoint, and this is definitely not a free skip, so that would have been really brave to go for it checkless.
Yeah.
Especially because there are no more checkpoints from this point of the stage onwards, so not only are you doing that skip without a check, you're doing the rest of the stage without a check, and virtually every part of the stage from here on out, it's very possible to take a death. He's playing it well, though. This is a pretty nice end to Pyramid Cave so far. Ford also getting his bounce bracelet, and he's really gaining. So Igloo wisely choosing to bail out of trying to super bounce there, and he's just taking the last part of the stage slow and safe. Taking zero risks here. Which, considering the objective from this point onwards is just to not lose the lead, I agree with that decision personally.
Yep.
Ford is struggling a little with this door skip in Pyramid Cave, unfortunately. There is a very small space between the door and the wall, and you can see he just got it there, but that is really, really precise. So it's no surprise sometimes that unless you are taking very great care with your setup, that it could take a few attempts to get that.
Yep. Yeah, everything about the stage is just so difficult. And then you've got notanigloo coming up here on Death Chamber. This is definitely a very hard knuckle stage with a lot that can go wrong. And we might be seeing some death strats, maybe, from Ford.
Possibly.
You get a piece in the blue room. You can do
wow, that camera was about as unfriendly as I've ever seen it there.
Jesus.
Ford is coming up on the end of his own Pyramid Cave, while Igloo is going towards his second piece in Death Chamber. And it looks like a decent one. It's possible that he could get a fairly good third piece if the game decides to give him one that's in the blue secret room. But RNG is a cruel mistress in this game, so we're definitely just going to have to see.
Yep.
Wandering Ghost, green. So that's not a bad piece. It's not a bad piece at all.
Yeah.
This just depends on whether Igloo knows where he's going for this. And he's going in the right direction, so I assume that he does know where he's going for this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's way en route for this. So there continues to be approximately a full stage's difference between the two.
Right. Before gaining a little bit of time, maybe we'll see them gain a little bit more. Looks like they did not get a death strat piece here, so we probably won't be seeing that from them.
Ford has pattern shots, and I think it's still possible to use death strats here, but I don't think he's going to opt for it. Yeah, only one looking the other way. This is in the blue room, so this is nice so far. This is another opportunity to get a blue secret room piece from the blue room. If that happens, then Ford is looking to save, again, a lot of time on the RNG here. So let's see what he gets. Two Eggmans facing each other. This is still, yep, this is in the adjoining room, so this is still a decent piece from where he is.
Yeah.
Hopefully, preferably wants to have a ring here, though, because those gammas can really try and snipe you out of the air there, as you saw. He was a little lucky to dodge that, I would say. But this is a nice last piece that he's got, so I would definitely take that RNG in a run.
Yep, definitely. Gaining about, 25 seconds over notanigloo there.
Igloo,
So-
meanwhile, is already more than halfway through his King Boom Boo. At least, hopefully, he needs to get this one cycle here. By taking a very precise running angle, you can actually keep up with Boom Boo and kill him in one cycle by landing 4 punches before he's able to escape. So he executes that pretty nicely. And Ford needs to follow up with that now. Missing a punch there and getting an extra cycle does cost in the region of 40 seconds. So that is a major time loss if a runner misses the one cycle. And unfortunately, runners definitely aren't out of the woods for bosses, since they go from King Boom Boo right into the most difficult boss of the run, Egg Golem, where they do want to use the same Super Bounce tech that Sonic used in Pyramid Cave, but it's really, really difficult to use on these narrow platforms. Like, you can see that Igloo has had a couple of false bounces that haven't gotten the necessary height for Super Bounce hits.
Yep.
He's going for them, though. Like, he's really trying, and he's already gotten one, but Egg Golem really can do a lot to punish Greed. Thankfully, he gets another one, and now that Egg Golem has taken 3 hits...
Oh!
Spin cycle, yeah. This is unfortunate, because even if he landed that last Super Bounce hit there, once the spin cycle animation starts, it's impossible to interrupt it. Right. So, unfortunately, that is a bit of a forced time loss from where he landed. Ford, meanwhile, is not even bothering to try with Super Bounce hits. Looks like he's just trying to take this slow and safe once again. Being that Igloo finished with a 55, Ford can basically come out with a similar time with a clean Egg Golem fight that doesn't use Super Bounces. So this is pretty much up to him not missing any hits from here on out.
Right. Looks like definitely Notanigloo had been doing a large bit of practice that none of us have really been seeing.
Yeah, this is an impressive performance so far based on just what his PB is. I definitely agree. He is getting through his Eternal Engine, and just like Mission Street, this is a very heavily cycle-based stage, so as soon as the runner gains control, you just want to be, hopefully, losing minimal amounts of time, since about a minute into the stage, there is both a major skip and a platform cycle directly before it.
Yeah.
Currently, he is not on pace for the first cycle, unfortunately, though, so he's either going to have to pull out all the possible time saves and stops to maybe clutch it, and even then it's going to be difficult, or he's just going to have to content himself with second cycle.
Yeah. The first cycle, you know, it's just very, very difficult to hit.
Yeah.
Like, all the cycle-based tail stages, you've just got something, you know, that a lot of people just won't be able to hit for whatever the best cycle is.
Ford, meanwhile, still has a shot at the first cycle, but again, he's going to need to move extremely well from here on out in order to actually make it.
It's like, oh, just barely getting second cycle. Oh, actually opting for third cycle instead. You can actually use the height you gain from the balloon there just to go all the way across.
Yeah, I think it was still the correct decision, because I don't personally think that would have given him enough height to clear the gap. Igloo is struggling to get his clip out, though. I did mention there's a major skip. Ford just making that jump.
My heart.
Yeah, Igloo's struggling here. After the platform cycle, there is an out-of-bounds clip that he's attempting, using the door to push him out of bounds. There he goes. He gets it now. So Ford has actually potentially made up quite a bit of time if he gets a first try clip out himself.
Right. Looks like they're going to be getting second cycle.
Yep, Ford's on second cycle, and so let's see how he does with his clip out. First try. And he had a very awkward collision there that didn't give him any forward momentum when he got the clip, but he thankfully didn't contact the kill plane. There is a kill plane directly underneath you when you clip out there, which it is possible to hit. Thankfully, that didn't happen, so this is actually making up quite a considerable amount of time. The gap is shrinking between the two runners.
Indeed.
If Ford's RNG trend continues, who knows? Coming out of Meteor Herd, he could actually be equal.
Yeah.
Just gonna have to wait and see. Really, anything can happen in Meteor Herd. The time variance in Meteor Herd is kind of obscene. If we're talking about like the two absolute extremes that is possible to get, you can get under 20 seconds or you could get over a minute.
Right.
It's unlikely to see those two extremes in a race, like very unlikely, but it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Dangerous Water Drops is not a particularly good first piece, as it is at the top of the stage, and this can potentially force the runner to go to the top, dive down to the bottom, and then go right back up to the top again. So quite a few runners would actually choose to reset on this piece, but it could still pay off. He's going to the wrong side, first of all. This is dangerous as well, because he doesn't have a ring. Thankfully, he gets it.
I get it. Dangerous.
And Ford also has the same first piece, and neither of our runners choosing to reset over it. So definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Ford just dithering a little with knowing where to go. I think he might have thought that he had evil water drops for a bit. He knows exactly where he's going now, though, and he does have rings, so no risk posed to him there. First stage. So unfortunately, both runners did get top to bottom, and I can see that Igloo's gone back up, so it looks like neither of our runners have gotten particularly good RNG so far in Meteor Herd. This is all about what Ford's last piece is now. Dig Watching the Stars. Yeah, neither of our runners got good RNG here, unfortunately. And Igloo taking his time a little to get between two rotating beacons there, which I don't blame him for, as that is a very easy piece to make a mistake on, because that spring is very close by, and the game really wants to make you hit objects like that.
Right. Looks like they're coming out a lot more even than they started.
Yep. Ford continues to just claw back bits of time here and there through the RNG being a little more graceful towards him. And this Rouge fight is, fundamentally, it's meant to be a simple fight where you can just lock her down and continually drill dive against her to finish her in about 15 seconds, but I mean, it's still tricky. There are still some things that can go wrong in this fight, so neither runner can just treat this as a free fight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Igloo opting to get a safety ring just in case anything goes wrong. Looks like he's pretty solidly in, though.
Alright.
Let's see what Ford does. He is also choosing to get a ring for safety. You can save up to a couple of seconds by foregoing the ring, but it does make the fight a bit riskier if you're not very confident with how to execute that fight.
Yep. We're going to be heading into Crazy Gadget here.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know if notanigloo does any of the skips. But I do know Ford does CGS.
Yes, this could swing the lead of the race if Igloo does not go for Crazy Gadget skip, and if Ford does go for it and gets it first try.
Mm-hmm.
We could be seeing a change around of the lead here.
Yeah.
Ford's got a pretty clean start to Crazy Gadget, though. I assume that Igloo is going to go for a skip because he did backtrack to get that checkpoint. Oh, no, he's not. He just doesn't want to run without the checkpoint. I mean, it's still possible to die here, so I suppose that makes sense.
Oh!
Yeah, that was close. I shouldn't speak. I should not speak because I'm causing things to happen, clearly.
Commentator's curse.
Ford is going for a skip, though, so this is Ford's opportunity to take the lead.
Oh, death.
Yeah, he's got one initial death here. It's still all up to Ford to take a lead here, though. This skip is very demanding, quite difficult, but it saves a considerable amount of time to not have to play the rest of the stage.
Mm-hmm. All right, looks like they got the jump.
Yep.
Are they going to get the legend skip? We like to refer to that as the legend skip. So that dude always snipes you. Pretty old meme, but it's kind of, stayed within the community.
Ford does need to just bounce towards the artificial chaos that's in the middle of the room in order to unlock this door. Finally gets it. So as long as he gets past this door, he has a very solid shot at hitting the goal ring now. He's just going to fall through the next wall that he hits, and then he's just going to try and go straight into the goal ring.
It looks like he's doing what we refer to as the Viblosh setup, as it was found by Viblosh. And oh no!
Too high, unfortunately.
Oof, rough. Looks like they could still be finishing off around the same time, but that's definitely going to be a time loss here for Ford.
Yeah, unfortunately. That was definitely a big opportunity to gain time, and he's down to his last life as well, so this is very easily risking a game over.
With notanigloo finishing here. Looks like it's likely going to be notanigloo's race. A bit of an upset here.
Yeah,
but You never know. Anything can still happen.
Unexpected, but definitely shows that he's been working for this, so all credit to him.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Ford is going to get another attempt at falling into the goal ring, but as I said, this is his last life, so he will take a game over if he doesn't get this.
Oh no!
Yeah, he's still too high, unfortunately. Igloo, meanwhile, is finishing out his Eggman 2 fight. He got through it pretty cleanly, thankfully. And
Nice
Igloo is
counter
moving on
draw.
to his final action stage, Final Rush. So there's one more major skip to be performed in this stage. And then from there, Igloo just needs to dispatch with the final boss of the run, Shadow 2, and this will be his race.
Mm-hmm.
Struggling a little with the slopes here, though, and he still manages to get the gravity bounce despite that awkward setup, so nice. And from here, he just wants to maintain a very precise angle to maintain the skewed gravity. He's basically falling sideways, and the objective here is to fall just long enough to go around all the kill planes in the stage, whilst not falling too far away from the goal ring that you can't hit it anymore. So he's hopefully around all the kill planes now, yeah? And now he just needs to hope that he's still close enough to the goal ring to be able to fall into it.
Yep. Still not quite out of the woods here on it's like a little bit late of a homing attack, but still getting it finally. Oh, looks like they're really low.
Oh,
Yep.
yep. Igloo is taking a reset on Final Rush. So, like, as we said, this race really is not over until it's over. This is quite a surprising turn of events. A level reset from Igloo costing in the region of, like, over a minute. And Ford, meanwhile, getting his CG skip so that he's going to be able to progress to Eggman 2. If the same thing happens to, like, Igloo on a second attempt, then we can once again potentially see the racers in the same spot. He's actually taking a different approach with Final Rush Skip this time. His falling angle is different. He apparently is not confident in the strat that he was using last time, and he's trying for a different approach this time.
Yeah, this is usually referred to as low bounce, as your angle is a bit lower.
Ford's finished out his Eggman 2.
We'll be seeing if they get it here. If they fail it, it's up to anyone's race,
Yeah,
you know?
it's really not possible to tell whether he's going to be able to make the end of the skip until the end of the level comes into view. That's how we gauge how much height is remaining. So if he's too far down the pillars, this looks good this time, though.
Fine.
I think he's got this.
Yeah.
He just needs to avoid the kill planes, and he does indeed know where they are. So kill planes avoided, and now just needs to not hit any invisible walls that will prevent him from reaching the goal ring. And he's in.
Yep.
So, wow.
It's like,
Closer than I expected it to be at this point, after Ford getting stuck on Crazy Gadget, but wow. This is definitely still Igloo's opportunity to close out with the win. He just needs to kill Shadow 2. Which, Ford just hitting a kill plane there on Final Rush Skip, unfortunately.
rough.
So the objective of this final boss fight is that you just need to hit him 5 times, but it's a bit easier said than done, as the game really likes to try and not allow you to damage Shadow without waiting for him to leave himself open from using a special attack. We can fortunately force him to become weaker by making him jump and homing attack, as there's a slight time between his homing attack ending and him landing on the ground where he is vulnerable. And Igloo just needs 2 more hits. So he's just going to take his time, wait for Shadow to respawn.
Mm-hmm. If they,
One more.
Oh, it looks like they're probably going to be getting it here.
And that's it. Igloo has closed this out with a 44-15, which I believe is a PB for him.
Yeah, let me check.
I believe that's a I mean, his PB isn't on the hero storyboards, but I believe that is a PB for him.
It's not on there anymore?
I don't think it is. Last time I checked, he had a 59 on the boards.
Yeah, there's a 59 on the boards.
So definitely a nice run and a nice PB for sure.
Definitely.
So, congratulations to notanigloo for closing that out in that style.
Yep. Don't mind me, I'm just trying to find their PB here.
Ford, meanwhile, is just coming up on his own Shadow 2. Same deal as Igloo had, just needs to land 5 hits, and with a carefully placed rhythm, he can close this fight out in as little as 16 seconds. So let's see. It's a good start. It's a very good start, actually. One more. Well, Ford at least ends his run on a high note with an ideal Shadow 2. And by my count, that looked like a 45-23-ish. So quite a close race between our two competitors, and I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. Very close, very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, congrats to Igloo for winning, and thanks very much to both our competitors for putting on an entertaining race for everyone.
Yep. Congrats. And GG.
Yeah. Is that it for us tonight? Is there anything else to come, or are we going to be back tomorrow?
Yeah, let's see. I think that might be it.
Yeah, I think we are back tomorrow, yeah, at 6:30 p.m. apparently.
Looks like it.
So I think that's going to be it from us, and I guess if you want to catch more of this, make sure to come back tomorrow evening.
Yep.
And that's going to be...
You can also watch some VODs. Definitely some entertaining races, including this one, have come and gone this time around.
So yeah, again, thanks to our competitors and thanks to everyone who's watching, and I guess we will see you all tomorrow for more Sonic Adventure 2.
Have a great one.
Good night for now.
Thank you.